Welcome to Western Perspective, I'm Grace Harrington. The Voice to Parliament battle has shifted to WA this week as prominent No campaign advocate Warren Mundine arrived in Perth to consolidate support against the referendum by hosting community forums and fundraising events. The Yes camp, on the other hand, is fighting back with their own events in the hope of gaining support from the multicultural community. This will be critical to either the success or failure of the referendum. Warren Mundine sat down with WAMN News earlier this week for an extended interview, and we have invited Peter Kennedy to critique the discussion and what it will mean for both the Yes and No campaigns.
Warren Mundine brings a great deal of experience to the argument that he's putting for the No case because of his Aboriginal background, for a start, prominent in the Labor Party at one stage, no longer in that area right now. But so he brings a lot of experience to the position that he holds, and I think it warrants, naturally, as he's a leader in the No case, he warrants close attention. And he believes that the Voice is perhaps being oversold. It won't be able to achieve the things that it's claimed it might be able to achieve, and that's nothing to do with Aboriginal recognition in the Constitution. This has unfortunately been caught up in the whole argument. I think most Australians believe that Aboriginal people should be recognised in the Constitution, but the question shouldn't be lumped in with an answer on the Voice itself. Now, Warren Mundine questions the Voice, questions whether the advice to the Parliament and the advice to executive government, whether that is necessary. You're creating perhaps two levels of Australians, some who have this direct voice and the vast bulk who don't, and the argument is the vast bulk who don't need it. Well, that is the question for the referendum. But so Warren Mundine argues the case very persuasively, but he'll have his work cut out over the next 5 weeks or whatever it is to the referendum to, as a leader in the No case, to convince Australians to go along with him. Australasian has put the case that the Voice should be endorsed, that Aboriginal people are a special case, that their voice is not being heard at the moment, and as he said, he believes that those people who say, look, there are people of Aboriginal background who are in the Parliament, 11 of the members at the moment, they should be able to put the case of Aboriginal people to the Parliament, and it should be reflected in legislation or whatever, government decisions. But he says that that's not the case, that the 11 there aren't there as representatives of Aboriginal people. They're there as elected members for whatever the constituents they represent. So there should be a special case, a special voice, and with the criticism that it creates two levels of Australians, he doesn't see that as a point, because as far as Aboriginal people are concerned, there's a lot of disadvantage to be dealt with, and there's no doubt about that, particularly in isolated communities, and that is where emphasis needs to be given if and when the Voice becomes a factor. So it's going to be, Australasian, a very strong advocate for the Yes case, and it's got a lot to go before we get to the finish line. The debate's starting to concentrate, and that's a good thing, that people start to concentrate on the issues that the Voice offers, and look at the pluses and the minuses. And the risk is that the debate may get personal, and it may get a bit nasty. That's the risk, and that is to be avoided at all costs. But can I just say one thing about the use of the term racism or racist? It's a very dangerous term. And that if you don't agree with this particular point of view, it's because of racism tendencies, and that has been a problem in Australia for years. I think most Australians are fair-minded and are prepared to give all people, whatever their origins, a fair go. And the bottom line probably is that all people are expected to have a go. But with regard to Aboriginal people, and this is the issue in this referendum, they are a special case, and Aboriginal people come across the spectrum in Australian society. There are people who are living in dreadful squalor, dreadful poverty, who badly need assistance, badly need all the assistance that the community can provide. On the other hand, there are Aboriginal people or people of Aboriginal background who are making their way in society very successfully in the professions, running their own businesses, in the trades, whatever, and doing extremely well. They have made the, for want of a better term, transition into mainstream society. So the question about the voice is the voice needed? Has the government made the case for the voice? How will the voice work? That's become an arguing point. Some people say, well, look, endorse the voice, give the Aboriginal people a say, a formal say to advise the Parliament, to advise executive government, and benefits will flow. The other side will say, well, how will the benefits flow? How will this work? Can you give us an example? And the answer from the government is, well, pass the referendum and then we'll work on that, and the legislation will be introduced to the Parliament and everyone will be able to see what the legislation is, and it can be amended if necessary. If the opposition and the Greens or the other parties think that parts should be amended, then it can be amended in the Parliament. And that is the key. So that's the key question as we come to the time for the Prime Minister to announce the referendum date. Concentrate on the issues. I would urge people to avoid the racism tag. I think it's dangerous. But look at the issues. Will the voice provide the things that it's alleged or claimed to provide? And if it can, well and good. If it can't, then, or if the government can't convince the population that that's the case, well, it's back to square one, and we'll look for another model.
That was Peter Kennedy speaking on the voice issues. You can read more of our weekly premium stories now on the WAMN Extra News Club, supporting independent local news and keeping democracy strong. And now, here is Dr. Andrew Miller with his weekly medical and news commentary.
Hi, thanks for your time. I live quite close to the City to Surf road that they run down on the way to the beach, and there's thousands of people out today, really good to see. Made me reflect on our kind of personal attitudes towards exercise, and often this all or nothing approach where we decide we're going to try really hard and we're going to do something every day and we're going to get super fit and become a completely different person. That, of course, usually falls over after a short period of time, and then we decide to chuck it all in. So I guess what I want to say is that it's okay to not be consistent. It's fine to just do what you can. There's not always a window in life that is ideal for devoting yourself to a full physical fitness regime and joining the gym and all of that stuff. If we can aim for a long-term, reasonably modest, occasionally missed exercise plan instead, then what you'll find is you get better results over the long term. So resistance training, trying to lift a few weights a few times a week is always a good thing, particularly as you get older. They don't have to be really heavy. They're just not talking about powerlifting here, talking about something to give the muscles a proper workout. And also trying to get some aerobic exercise that gets the pulse rate up, where possible, 30 minutes a day. But if you can't do that, and if you can't do it on a particular day, don't make that demoralize you so that you give it up completely. Just get back out there when you can, do what you can, and try to be less sedentary in your lifestyle. And we know that this improves mainly mental health, first of all, really important effect on our mood and on the way that we approach life. And secondly, we know that it will reduce cardiac risk factors over the long haul. So don't let perfect be enemy of the good. Get out there, do what you can. Don't be discouraged when it's not every time, because that in fact is the normal experience for most people. Stay healthy where you can, eat a bit more wisely, and good luck. Thanks for your time.
That was Dr. Andrew Miller, and that's Western Perspective for this week. Until next Sunday evening, it's back to you, Ivan and Melly.
Thanks, Grace. And that's our weekly news and current affairs. We have latest news on our website, wamnnews.com.au.
Don't forget to subscribe to the WAMN Extra News Club so we can continue our work in the community. Full details on wamnnews.com.au/news/extra. From Melly, Peter, Grace and myself, wish you good health, good night. See you next Sunday.
Thanks for watching.